Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled, Choose This Life, but you cannot have joy without suffering. Last Sunday, the 10th of September, I told the congregations that it had been exactly 1 year since I collected my beautiful Havanese little dog, Molly. What a joy and a gift. I picked her up actually as a kind of birthday present to myself. A friend had persuaded me to make the move as I'd been procrastinating for quite some time. Bossy friends have their pluses, you know. They are blessings and they are curses too. And this friend had gone the extra mile. She'd been gently persuading me to do what my heart really desired. And so I picked Molly, although in truth be told, actually, when I got there, Molly picked me. I'd gone to collect one of her sisters, but Molly insisted. She was all over me, actually. The other dog, the other little puppy, or the other female puppies just weren't interested. And what a blessing she has been. Not without difficulties, because puppies are puppies, but what a beautiful blessing. What a joy. Now, what I didn't tell the congregation last Sunday was that it was also that very same day, the first anniversary of the death of our youngest cousin, Cheryl. I had received the heartbreaking news of her death, which we knew was coming, as I was about to set off to pick Molly up. So I drove for over 3 hours all the way to Lincoln with tears streaming down my face. It meant I could break down and cry because I didn't have anybody around me and nobody else to worry about. Just driving the car. When I arrived, I composed myself. I had a lovely hour with the puppies, and then I drove home with this little ball of fluff in a cage on the back seat of my car. And she cried and wailed all the way while ever the car was moving. It stopped me from crying, actually. It stopped the tears in me as I was more concerned with her tears. So September the 10th, 2022 was definitely an example of the blessings and the curses of choosing life, to badly misquote good old Moses. This last year has been one packed with life. So much has happened. There has been some deep joys, but also so many sufferings. We lost another cousin at Charlton, and there have been many other family troubles, as well as troubles involving dear friends, and of course the communities I belong to, as well as the communities that I serve. This is life, you know. You cannot have joy, it seems, without suffering too. They seem to be two sides of the same coin. But this is life. It was my birthday this Thursday that's just gone, the 14th of September, and I have received some lovely cards, some lovely gifts, so many blessings, so much left on my doorstep that I've found as I've come home. How lovely that is to find a gift and a card waiting for me, and so many beautiful greetings. So thank you, everyone. As I thought of the last year that's gone, I was reminded of a visit to my granddad, actually. I was thinking about this on my birthday, just 2 years before he died, on this was his 89th birthday. It was always such a joy to sit with him. I always felt safe, and I always felt dearly, dearly loved. But most of all, I always felt safe and accepted. Never felt I needed to explain who I was in his company. That day he talked about how we can never predict the future in life, how as a young man he and his best friend, Percy Epworth as he was called, had gone to sea together to serve during the Second World War, young men. My granddad came back, but Percy Epworth didn't. They both chose the same path. Not that they had much say in that path actually in those days, but only one of them carried on through his physical journey of life beyond the war. My granddad lived a long life He experienced so much in life. He certainly wasn't perfect. But he respected the privilege and the opportunity that his life had been something denied to so many others, including his best friend Percy. I know that every night before he went to bed, he would pray and he would vow to live two lives, his life and the life denied Percy. My granddad never talked about his personal religious beliefs. They were a private thing to him, as they were to many really of his generation. But he clearly had a faith, and he offered his prayers each night to the God of his own understanding, something he never discussed with me, but I know that he did it. Life truly is the greatest gift of all. Life is the ultimate of all graces. It is a privilege that we did nothing to deserve. It's given to us freely. That's grace. Do we always make the most of it though? How often do we turn from life? I certainly have many times in my life, and for far too long, wasted too much of my time. Of course, choosing life means all of life. We cannot negotiate with reality. In my view, we don't get to choose the life that happens to us actually. We don't have much say in that. But we can respond to what happens to us. To paraphrase badly Viktor Frankl, that this is the ultimate freedom. To choose life, of course, is to choose the journey, the whole of journey, to continue on and on the journey. It's not choosing what happens to us, but just what is the road in front of us, if you like. How we respond to what we meet on the road. As long as we don't bring monsters with us, the journey will be incredible. Now, all this thinking about journeying and choosing life obviously brings to my mind the journey that the Israelites took to the Promised Land. And it brings to mind specifically Moses and his on his final birthday, as I think of birthdays, which was his 120th birthday according to the Exodus. And the sermon that he delivered that very day on his 120th birthday. Just as the people were about to step out of the wilderness after wandering around for 40 years lost in the desert, God had just informed Moses that he would not get to enter the promised land. With the people that he led out of exile, he didn't get to go. As they reached the promised land, the people gathered to receive Moses' final blessing. And what did Moses say? Well, on Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 19, this day I call the heavens and the earth as witness against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life so that you and your children may live. Beautiful, eh? It wasn't the people from Train Spotting or George Michael and Wham that came up with the phrase choose life. It was Moses. There's a much more depth and weight to it. He tells the people that they must choose life. Of course, choosing life means all of life, not just the bits that you want in life. It also means you don't get to choose what happens, but you must learn to not only accept what happens, but love the gift you've been given and to respond to it in loving and faithful ways. Like my granddad did, actually. He got a much greater respect for life following the death of his best friend. Could have been him. He saw how fortunate he was. Didn't live a perfect life, but he chose life, and he was grateful for that gift. A gift denied to so many. His response was his and his alone. The fact that he survived had little to do with him, really. That was luck as much as anything, and his friend did not. Life and death, blessings and curses. Monday was certainly one of those days this past week. Two friends had sadly just lost their dads after a long illness. I received the sad news of the death of a dear colleague, a wonderful servant ministry in the Cheshire area, the Reverend Penny Johnson. A friend rang me and his lovely little dog Mabel, this beautiful little Shih Tzu. He rang me, he was heartbroken. He was in Italy at the time and his dog was here with his wife, and it seemed that the dog was not going to survive. Not the day I expected to wake up to a money as I consoled my friend, as I was there for other friends too, and people I care deeply about. By the way, my friend's dog is okay. It seems to have revived. But I've chosen this life, and people come to me because this is my life. As I responded to some tragedy in my life that led me down this road, this was the path I chose. I didn't choose what happened, but my response was mine. Classic Frankl, really. I found meaning from deep suffering. I also witnessed something beautiful while out walking my little dog Molly in the park on Monday. I saw a couple with 2 French bulldogs. I've seen them many times over the past few months. One of the poor dogs is crippled really, its back legs don't work properly and is transported around in a dog pram. Its back legs don't function properly. And these last few months this couple have been working with lovingly and caringly to try and get this dog to at least be able to walk and move again. Well, this week I saw them with both dogs in the park, and one being kind of encouraged to walk and run around as best he can by a big like giant beach ball thing that it follows around, and he was so happy. What a beautiful sight to behold. An inspiration that they used their time, they dedicate their time to this little beautiful dog, to bring the most out of their dog, to bring it some joy because it must be so hard. This is a beautiful example to me of choosing life, of making the most of a difficult situation. Which is something, of course, I've witnessed in friends who have lost their loved ones and as they have struggled with other things this last week, as they have chosen their response to their suffering in positive and faithful ways. And this is not easy to do, especially when you're consumed by grief. Your body doesn't want you to, but your spirit does. And the spirit will overcome sometimes. Of course, choosing life and journeying on in life is not a straight line. The ancient Israelites didn't travel in a straight line. That's fairly obvious. That's because their journey, if they'd had Waze or sat-nav technology, say, should have taken them 6 months to cover the ground on foot. But it took them 40 years. Life is not a straight line, and time is not exactly experienced in a linear fashion. Not chronological time might be, but not the way that we experience things. No, very different. And of course the 40 years wandering in the desert is pure symbolism. It's not historical. Time is not chronological as we experience it day by day, not in this kind of mythos that they're trying to teach here. They didn't travel in Chronos time, it was more Kairos time. Chronos time moves on day by day. The last 365 days, so much has happened in my life and your life, for good and for bad, no doubt. It's been thick time for me, I know that, or what the ancients named Kairos time. For Kairos time is not limited, though it can change the way we live in time and space. We cannot lengthen time, but we can deepen and thicken time. This is Kairos time. Kairos time is qualitative. It is measured by the depth of the moment, not the length of the moment. Not how many seconds the time lasts, but the depth of that time, how time stands still. It's what Blake described as infinity in an hour. In such moments, it feels like the whole world takes a breath. In such moments, our whole lives can change. And yet, in terms of measured chronos time, it lasted no longer than any other second. And this last 12 months that I have experienced so many of these moments, these are the blessings and the curses of choosing life. I'm sure you've had them too. Feels like it standing still, a bit like those fight scenes in The Matrix, if you like, if you've ever seen it. So as I mentioned earlier, it was my birthday this last Thursday, the 14th of September. And I've received so many gifts and cards and greetings from people who mean so much to me, and of course who I mean so much to too, obviously. Excuse me. And the wonderful thing about birthdays is that they allow us to celebrate the people in our lives. I love to sing happy birthday to people. It is one of my greatest pleasures in life. On someone's birthday, I leave them a message and I sing happy birthday to them. And do you know what? My brother Otis attempted to make an impression of me by singing happy birthday to me. It was a pretty good effort, as he tried to mimic me. But it lacked a little bit of my natural vibrato. He really tried to egg the vibrato in his voice. And he didn't quite get some of the bottom notes, but he gave it a good go. Anyway, this is how I sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear life. Happy birthday to you. Have a great day, whoever you are, if it's your birthday today. In the future, if you get a greeting like this, enjoy it, because birthdays are so special. They should be enjoyed by all. They should be celebrated as we celebrate the fact that we're alive and here. As Henri Nouwen said, we should never forget our birthdays or the birthdays of those who are close to us. Birthdays keep us childlike. They remind us that what is important is not what we do or accomplish, not what we have or who we know, but that we are here and now. On birthdays, let us be grateful for the gift of life. So happy birthday to life. Let's sing a song to life of the joy of living in all its mystery. And each moment, each day is always the birth of new life. And this weekend actually marks the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. The 10 days of awe begins from sunset on Friday, this Friday, as I record this, the 15th of September. And this continues until the end of Yom Kippur at sunset on Monday, the 25th of September, the Day of Atonement, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. According to Jewish tradition, God inscribes each person's fate for the coming year into the book of life on Rosh Hashanah and waits until Yom Kippur to seal the verdict. During the 10 days of awe, a Jewish person tries to amend their behaviour and seek forgiveness for the wrongs done against God and against others, against the people in their lives and life itself. The evening and day of Yom Kippur are set aside for public and private petitions and confessions of guilt. At the end of Yom Kippur, one considers oneself absolved by God and therefore can then be placed in the book of life for another year. Now, what's significant about this concept of atonement, for me at least, is that the wrongdoer must first of all seek forgiveness from those that they have wronged, before they then turn to God and ask that they be returned to the book of life. You've got to put things right with life first there. Only after the transgressor has been forgiven by the transgressed can God's forgiveness be obtained. It's about being in right relationship with the world and humanity before going to God and being in right relationship with God. You've got to put things right with the world first. Interesting approach, yeah? As I look back at a year of changes, of the blessings and curses of living life, I see how much I have experienced of life. I can also see how much I could do better. Oh, so much better. Especially in my relationships with those in my life. There is guilt there. I want to live better with others. I want to live more effectively in this world. I want to be more alive, not crushed by guilt. This brings to mind another fascinating poem, actually, The Birthday of the World by Marge Piercy. So here's The Birthday of the World by Marge Piercy. On the birthday of the world, I begin to contemplate what I have done and left undone. But this year, not so much rebuilding of my perennially damaged psyche, shoring up eroding friendships, digging out stumps of old resentments that refuse to rot on their own. No, this year, I want to call myself to task for what I have done and not done for peace. How much have I dared in opposition? How much have I put on the line for freedom, for mine and others? As these freedoms are pared, sliced and diced, where have I spoken out? Who have I tried to move? In this holy season I stand self-convicted of sloth in a time when lies choke the mind and rhetoric bends reason to slithering, choking pythons. Here I stand before the gates opening, the fire dazzling my eyes, and as I approach what judges me, I judge myself. Give me weapons of minute destruction. Let my words turn into sparks. Wonderful, eh? And I'm with Marge. Give me weapons of minute destruction. Let my words turn into sparks. As I mark the passing year, I wonder how I can journey on in better ways as I move forward into another year, as the circle continues. Maybe something for you to think about yourself. Think about as you continue on, reflecting on like those of the Jewish faith will do in the coming days, in these days of awe. What do you need to do to improve your relationships? What loose ends need tying up? What regrets are you living with? No one knows where the journey will lead. No one knows when it will end. We have before us life. It will be a mixture of blessings and curses. As we step forward into a new adventure as congregations, as I'm working with a new student minister, Janine Sim, so met her earlier today again, and we started to begin our plans for you. It's exciting times it's going to be hard work, but it's exciting times for the congregations I serve and for myself, and of course for Janine. I'm sure our time together will be fruitful. Not easy, there will be trouble ahead, there will be challenges, but it will be fruitful. We will gain, I'm sure, from the experience. I'm sure we all will. So I say to you, let's move forward in faith and hope, and above all move forward in love. Before us is life, blessings and curses. Let us choose life. I'm going to end with a little bit of Wendell-Berry actually, on circles, as we think about widening our circles, called The Larger Circle by Wendell-Berry. We clasp the hands of those that have gone before us, and the hands of those who came after us. We enter the little circle of each other's arms, and the larger circle of lovers whose hands are joined in a dance, and the largest circle of all creatures passing in and out of life, who move also in a dance, to a music so subtle and vast that no ear hears it, except in fragments. Amen. So I'm going to end, as I always do, with some final words of blessing. Let's bless one another. You know, we need to bless more in life. We need to make our life blessings, and we can all bless. The world needs our blessings. And we bless by giving ourselves wholeheartedly to one another, wholeheartedly to life, in choosing life. So let's choose life. So as we move back to our lives, leaving this time and this space that we share together, may we be inspired by this time. May we be inspired to open our hearts, our minds, our souls. Move our bodies. Let's open ourselves just a little wider to embrace a little more. Let's be open to what is and what might be. Let the world move through us. Let life move through us. May we move forward in hope that that our circles may grow ever wider, encompassing all that is life and all that is beyond this physical life. That little more, that added bonus, the gravy of life, that is more than life. May we move forward in love as a part of the eternity. And may the love of God be with us all. And may it move through us and may it do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, and in all that we do. Go in love, go in peace. Amen.